Okay, so we are now recording, and the purpose of today's meeting is to kind of go over the last part of Alaska Jobs, which is the participation and activities section. And so I'm going to go into share my screen, just like with any other time. Here's my my desktop or my dashboard, and the new thing with this one, and I kind of like it, is that everything that you have is now kind of tucked out of the way. And if you guys have logged into the new site, you guys have noticed this, and I'm sure it freaked a lot of you guys out because you can't pin it the way that you used to be able to pin it. It automatically tucks. So they've expanded a little bit of this at the bottom. I just want to kind of point that out. Your schedules are down here. Your document management is down here. But once you click on something, this kind of tucks away. So it kind of makes this front page a little bit bigger. So that's good, especially if you go to the eye doctor and they prescribe new glasses for you because you can't see, like some people in this meeting. I'm not going to name anybody's name me. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Carol, and we've already done one service for Carol. I think we may have done two, but I'm going to stick with saying that I know we've done one. Okay, so when we go through and remember, our dashboard's a little bit small or a little bit slow because we're in the training environment. But when we go through and we are working on an individual, the first thing we have to do is add that participation or that activity. That's the same with every single person, and it only gives you the option of adding AE1. And so we're going to talk about that first participation. And because we've already put this person in, I'm not going to worry about putting a new person in or walking through that. If you want to see that, you can go to the other videos and walk through those ones. But this one has a participation because just as if we've entered her application, we've already done her participation. I'm sorry, we've done her participation, which led to her activity or her enrollment in that AE1. We did do more than one on her, and we closed her. See, that's kind of how we roll. So I'm going to go back since she's already closed. I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to pick somebody else. And I think that Edna has one, and it might take me a second to find one because I have a lot of them in here that I've been playing with and giving you guys examples. So she's incomplete. So let me go back out. I think the other one is James. And I apologize, I should have looked for these earlier. He's a complete application. Okay, he is open. So the way that I knew that is it says complete right here, so I know he's a completed application. And like I said earlier, in his activities and enrollment, because we did, and he's closed too. Holy cow, what did we do? We closed them all. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Edna and I'm gonna complete hers then. What were we thinking in our previous walkthroughs? We closed all the applications.
I think you just want to confuse me.
I do, Pamela. So apparently I want to go back and I want to say, hey, this is how you walk through an application. So she is she's an incomplete application. So we're going to complete her application and get it all ready to go. If you leave an application in the middle of it, somebody came in, somebody came out, and it wasn't completed, this is what you're going to get. You're going to go back in, and for the program coordinators in the room, here is what I was talking about in the meeting. If they never came in, they never came back, you started an application, you have this button available to you until you hit complete, until you enroll them. You can always go back and push this application is closed, never enrolled, and it will take out that incomplete application until you enroll them. Does that make sense, my program coordinators in the room?
So it will get rid of their record completely until we decide to go through the process again.
Any incomplete application. So if they have a completed application that was already closed from before, it will not get rid of that completed application. But if you have an incomplete application, it will close that one out, and it will not record that completed application at all.
And the purpose of that is because we
Say you had somebody who
rid of the
came in. Say you
but
had
it-
somebody come in, Pam, like you came in to see me and I started the application with you. And then you said, you know what, I really don't have time right now. And I don't want to answer these questions, and I just don't feel comfortable. And you say, okay, you know what, let me know when you're ready. And say they never showed up again. Now you have a half empty application sitting there that you never pushed complete to make it an application. So you have one that's just sitting out there. Make sense?
Yes, so
Okay.
if it is an incomplete application and it's just sitting out there, does that mess with our NRS tables?
It does not. It only
so-
is counted when we push completed application.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to put the application and eligibility date apparently as 10/1. Oops. South Beach Job Center. Let's go corrections. In Juneau. And Lemon Creek. I think I can do corrections on here. We'll see. Okay. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Remember, all of this stuff comes over and auto-populates. It's a residential address. I'm going to click here. Yeah, residential. It's going to check on that. The only thing I really have to check here, if it is not checked already, cell phone, voice, no alternative. The email is correct. Yeah, all of this stuff, I verified it. I didn't go as fast when I was walking through the application with the person. I actually took time, but I'm trying to get through here really quickly. I'm going to verify all this information, but for now I'm going to go really fast again. I'm going to say no disability this time because I don't want to put a category. I'm going to take the path of least resistance on all of these just to get through this application. But you are not going to do that because you're going to actually sit down with the person and ask questions. Right? Everybody say yes.
Of course.
Ah, there we go. There's Robert that's not here. No. Highest level, no education, not in school. I'm gonna leave these all no's. I'm gonna leave these all good to go. And eligibility. We're gonna make her eligible. Yes, she is eligible. We're finished. That was pretty quick and painless. Robert, totally unrelated, but what color yellow is on your wall? Do you know?
Sunflower yellow? Maybe?
Sunflower yellow.
I don't know. I didn't paint this. This my sister-in-law's yellow. I like it. It's bright.
I'm going to go to participation because that's going to take me directly to the participation, not to the program tab. And this gives me a chance to talk about the participation anyways, because remember we have to give that participation, which is going to cause our activity. And our participation date, we put 10/1, right? 1/2020. Birthday is fine. Everything else is fine. I'm going to push next. And then go down. Come on. And we're waiting. We're waiting. You're welcome, Pamela. Okay. So remember, here is our customer group. We're always in adult ed. Our office location will be the job center near us. And then our activity code. So this is the first one we want to talk about, is that AE1. This is the only choice we have, is making that AE1 is right here. We can choose it later, but AE1 is always right here. When do we close AE1? Does anybody remember?
I thought we were going to leave them open as long as we could.
As long as we could. We closed them on 2 occasions. What are the 2 occasions that we closed them?
Graduate?
Not if they graduate. If they what?
Death.
So part of the 7 or 8 federally closure, those federally mandated closures, or
Or they leave the state?
they leave the state. Good job, Heidi. Woo, woo, woo.
Think about
Good
that one.
job.
So we only close them if they leave the state or they are deceased.
Nope. There's 7 reasons under the deceased is one of the 7 reasons. The other ones are they go into incarceration. They go into an institution. They go into an institution other than incarceration. They go into the military. The military is active. Call them back up to active duty. They are deceased. They. Remember the other 7? Who remembers the other one?
Foster care.
Foster care. There's 2 related to foster care. One is they're like transferred related to foster care, and the other one is something else related to foster care. There's 2 actually. Thank you, Sarah. There's another one. I think there's another one. But there's 7 reasons why. There's 7 or 8 reasons why you would close them. They're on that federally closure list, and you would have to do a closure for them. Okay, so I'm going to do a projected end date. I'm going to go down and push next. Other than that, we leave the AE1 and we leave it alone. If they transfer to a different state, we need to close them too, because they're now another state's responsibility. Okay,
So if they
provider.
graduate, we're not going to go back and close them out.
No. No, ma'am. Okay, so under the
Okay.
providers, you will
Okay,
find
so
your provider, by the way. Go ahead, Robert.
I know it's a silly question, but so he's incarcerated. We're still going to leave him under AE1 if our student, right? No.
Let me check, because I think that getting out of an institutionalized makes them close too, but that's a good question, Robert. Let me check. Okay, under the program, the provider information, you will find your information, not the generic one that we're just playing around with right now. So you'll find, you know, Caloric and then Nome, or Kenai Peninsula and Soldotna. So choose your information. Do not put a last activity date and completion date here. Leave this alone and push finish. Now this is going to give us the AE1. The AE1 remains open. You just leave it. When the student has no more than when they've been inactive for 45 days, when there's no attendance for 45 days, they will go inactive. You'll see them on their class list. It'll say it will take them off your class list, but on their personal record, it will say inactive. And if you need to reactivate them, all you got to do is put them on a list and they'll be reactivated if that's the case. But after 90 days, this case will close as long as that AE1 is open. So under activities, there's the AE1. Okay, it is open, it will close itself. So don't bother anything else with it. You just have to leave it alone. So if
I have a
there,
question.
okay, Renee,
Yeah, I have a question.
yeah.
If you accidentally close it, put a closure date, then what can you do?
We need to get it back open. And the only people that can do that are myself and Donna.
Okay. But you guys can do it?
Mhm.
And what if somebody else did it, like during the conversion? It got a closure date put in there.
So conversion's different. We've worked out conversion stuff and a lot of the students were closed because of the inactivity dates. And so if they were closed, then that's fine. Just open a new activity or a new application and then go on with whatever they need to go on with. And it's the same that if they close, if there's no attendance for 90 days and they close, they'll close on their own, and that's fine. You're just going to open up a new application and go on with that student.
And what if it won't let you open a new application?
So there's applications that we have ran into that have closed and there's no exit date on there. And those are the applications that we've talked about on a couple of our different meetings that you need to contact Donna so that we can have the programmers open those ones back up. Or
Okay.
I'm sorry, close them so that you can open them back up.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you run into those, we need to know about them because there was a glitch when in the conversion that we need to figure out. Some of them closed and exited, some of them just closed and didn't exit. And so there's something glitchy with some of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Before you start again, so let's say I have John Smith. John, we've opened his application. He's had activities and participation. For 90 days, he doesn't do anything. The program will automatically close him out. And then he comes back to us. We search his name.
Okay.
His name shows up. And then we open that application again and just change the dates, or do we have to do a whole new application?
Whole new application. This one right here will not say complete anymore. It will say closed. You will have to start a whole new application because it is a whole new POP. That individual is no longer your student because they were absent for 90 days and they are gone from your program.
Okay, okay. I know that our program is going to have a lot of opens and close then. So
That's the Fed rules. That's the way that it's always supposed to have been.
I think in the old system though, you didn't have to, you just had to have them do the paper application.
Yeah.
And then the tape, you entered the tape, then everything stayed up and you just updated their information to make it current.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, there was that, but there was a lot of stuff in the old system that we were missing. And that
Agreed.
we weren't federally reporting that we needed to. So this is one of the things that now when we open a new application, every time that we open those, you guys are making sure that that application process is looking at that person in that snapshot of time, the way that we're supposed to look at them in that snapshot of time. Those questions, we're supposed to ask them every time we open an application, every time we open, every time they come into us in a new POP. Now, if they stay with us and their attendance is consistent with us for an extended amount of time, we don't have to ask them those questions over and over again because their attendance is there. They've been with us. However, if they come and go from the program, federally, we are supposed to open a new POP with them, ask those questions all over again because we don't know if their life circumstances have changed. And that's what we have to report. I know. I'm sorry. Okay. So Pamela makes a good point. And there are some students that you know are going to come and go and recycle into your program. You know that there's some that they go to work for a couple months and then they come back. You as some of you guys are university, and so you take a couple months off and then you come back. What do you guys do in that kind of situation? There is a built-in hold for adult ed in that case. It's not for everybody, and you have to be very careful with this one, but there is a hold that you can put on your program on this person in order to hold that case open so they do not soft exit. And it is right here. So I'm going to go back into create a new activity or enrollment. And I am going to leave AE1 open. I'm not going to close it. I'm not going to touch it. Okay. Promise me, Pinky, promise everybody you're not going to touch AE1. Thank you. Okay. Instead of
Yes, we promise.
Yes, thank you, Robert. So for AE1, you're going to leave that first one, the customer group, the same. You're going to go right here to your office and select that. And then down here under activity code, you're going to select AE2. Okay, AE2, it says right on there, your plan service, and then it says hold. That is the service that you're going to give them. You're going to give them a hold service. A projected begin date or an actual begin date. It doesn't matter which one you use. They're both going to be the same. Let's say I'm going to do today, and then I'm going to give them a projected end date. If I'm only giving them a projected end date for, let's say I'm going to hold them for 2 months open, I'm going to give them 2 months. I'm not going to do this for a year. I'm not going to do this through the end of my program year. I'm only going to do this through the summer or through the time that they're working. Say a student came to me and said, I am going to have surgery and I'm going to be out, Pamela, from today, and I've got to be out for 2 months. Can I, I just wanted to let you know. Okay, well, I can hold them open for 2 months without it causing havoc on my program. So I can put the projected end date as 02/14, which is Valentine's Day before, by the way, I didn't realize that until just now when I wrote it, to give them a hold time. And if soft exit ran, say they had no attendance a month prior to this or 2 months prior to this because they were having medical issues, and now they let me know, it's still not going to close their case. It's going to hold it open.
Okay, so what if it's pregnancy? How long do we give them for having baby?
How long do you want to give them for having baby?
I don't know. I mean, is there a
I have an
consistent?
answer for that.
What's
Yes.
that, Robert?
So interestingly enough, the women I've taught that were pregnant invariably came back within a matter of weeks. It's not that, I mean, for some reason, women who are pregnant are darn serious about getting their education. And so I've had women return within a week of pregnancy, of giving birth, show up in class again. Just a idle FYI.
We see them disappear for a year at a time.
So this is not going to be a year at a time. This is not, so if it's going to be like a year that you're not going to see them, you're going to let them close and you're going to do a new application with them. This is like we have a definite start date. We have a rough estimate of an end date, and it's a short time frame, like our programs that go on summer break, right? They're going to give them a summer break and they can hold their programs open, or they can choose to close their programs and reopen them with a new application for the students that may or may not come back. Or they can give them an AE2 to give them the option of not closing in soft exit. All this does is it holds them open through soft exit. The problem with this one is if you put it way out there or you don't close this one has to be closed. If this one does not close, even though it has a projected end date, it will keep your AE1 open and you will not have a soft exit, and that soft exit will not count on your federal reports. So you have to manually close this one.
Let's say that the program closes over summer, but we get back to the office and we have students that have sent in homework and we grade that homework. Can we enter hours for when it was on hold?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you're gonna have to close this AE2. So that's why I said you have to be careful with the AE2. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this AE2 out. So I'm gonna write, next. Go ahead and go next. I'm gonna put my program information, my provider information in there. Same provider. Whoever you are out there, it's fine. Remember, you just click next. And then it's going to take you to that last page. Don't do anything here because we're not closing it. And then click finish. Now I'm giving them an AE2. Now that is, now I have my AE1, which I only close very rarely. And I have my AE2, which is a hold code. Do you see that it says planned service hold code? Hold code. Woo, that was a tongue tire. Okay, so that is holding open that AE1 past those 90 days. So if I have that student then come back to me and they're now receiving services, you have to then go in and close this so that it then this application can then go through the processes of closing naturally. Any questions there?
So
Is there-
this is, oh,
Go ahead, Linda.
so this is a question for, I guess, on a student that recently told us she was going away to her home country to spend some time. I think it would be 2 to 3 months that the student is going away, but I just left it. So maybe I should go in for that student and hold it open for her. Is that
You
correct?
can, or you can let it close naturally and then they can do a new application when they get back. Now, how are you sure they're coming back? Are they doing anything while they're gone? Or
No, they're not doing anything while they're gone, but they're coming back.
okay,
Yeah, 'cause
so you can
there's
hold a student open. Yeah, that's not a problem. If you know that student is consistent and you know they're going to come back, sure, that's not a problem. Hold them open. But you have to make sure you're going to close this, and you have to make sure that this, because as of right now, this person will not close and they will not be counted on your federal reports as closing in a POP and reopening as a POP, there's just a bunch of things that they won't count for. So you have to make sure that you're weighing your options when you use the hold code.
Okay, so maybe I should leave that student open.
It's
and
up
just
to you.
Let it go that way. Okay.
It's there for you to use because we do have those situations, Linda, like a student that went away to their home country, and we know we have those students that do go away, back to the Philippines, and that's not an easy trip. And they could be gone for a month or 2 months, and that's fine. And we could use this as a fail-safe just to be on the safe side to hold those applications open for them. We can use it for the kiddos that have some health issues and they need to hold their applications open for a little bit. Or for
What-
summer break. That's a big one for our colleges. So you don't have to close all of your applications and then reopen them in the next fiscal year. Now, would it be all of them? Probably not, because you're going to have some students that fall off, and that's fine. But some of them that are consistent and you know that they're coming back over and over again, yeah, you might want to use the hold.
Is there a potential issue if you put someone on hold and then they don't come back? Is there a problem at all as far as that goes, or is there a problem like when if they don't come back and they had more than 90 days gone, and just a second, sorry guys, and more than 90 days gone, and then you close it because they never did come back. So then you finally you remove the hold code, or close the hold code, I should say.
Right.
Does that then close them at the time that you close the hold code, or does it go back and do like the exit from then in the 90 days?
I
does it
don't
matter?
believe so. It doesn't really matter. It's going to close them anyways. I don't think that it closes them immediately. Because you've held them open, but it will close them. It's not going to hold them open forever anymore. It will close that student for you, because we're going to close this one, and it's easy to close it. Remember, you just go in, you push close. It'll take you to that last screen again, and then you put that end date, and because this is a hold one, you can just put successful. You successfully held them open. Whenever that last activity date was, the completion, it was successful, or they dropped out of the there's other examples there. They dropped out of activity. That's another one that you can use if you never see them again. They've dropped out of activity. That's fine. And then, these codes aren't I was going to say successful 3 times now, as prevalent to us as they are to WIOA Title I, but we do have them, and so it's not like we need to have a reason why we're closing them, and then the activity, and then push finish, and now that activity is done, the hold is finished, and now the AE1 can do its job. And it will soft exit it. And see, Heidi, sometimes I have to think about things for a minute. It will soft exit it on the next cycle if the 90 days are ready to go on the next cycle. If you put attendance, it's not going to, it'll pop it back up to the attendance where it needs to go. And it'll start 90 days clicking again.
Is there a report that you can run to find out who is on hold, like an AE2 report?
Not an AE2, but it's that ready to close report, or what's the name of the report? The report's out there.
Soon to close or something like that.
Soon to close. Thank you. That's it. Soon to close. Yes.
Okay.
Soon to exit, right?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yes.
I just worry that we might put people on it and then forget that they're on it. So like when we start the fall after summer break, when we start fall, we can go back and double check that that they're all been taken care of or something.
Yep. Soon to exit report. They will be on that soon to exit report. Yeah. Okay. So that takes care of AE2, and that's your hold. to hold open AE1. Is there any questions on AE1 and AE2 and how they work together? Okay, I caution you that if you use AE2 and you don't put any attendance in and you close it, it will then on the next cycle, just like I told Heidi, it will close that participant. So you're going to need to put the attendance in to keep that person going and open, or you just held them open for no reason. Okay. So there's two other choices. And the reason why we have these two other choices is because these are the big ones we get asked questions about all the time. And this code right here is an IET model. These are IET model classes. These are not federally reported. Your federally reported are in your classes. So when you put somebody in an IET class, those are how they populate into the federal reports. But this is another way for us to quickly, besides the federal reports, which populate only once a year, we can pull this report, we can pull this information when we're asked. And we can then say, yes, we do have an IET class going on, or we have IET going on here or there. These are the services we're providing. So this is one that is important for if you have an IET going on. It will not hold up your AE1. So if you have this service, it is not going to do anything to your AE1. Even if it is open, your AE1 will continue to close. So you add the same information, and it's not very long. And anybody remember the triangle for IET?
You mean the acronym?
Nope, the 3 sides to the triangle of IET. There has to be 3 consecutive components of an IET.
Oh, yeah.
Is it training and classes?
You're very close.
It has to be simultaneous,
It has to be simultaneous. It has to be consecutive, yes.
consecutive.
Working toward a industry recognized credential.
Recognized credential. Okay, that's one side. So workforce development. Linda said education, so we'll take education. That's the other side. And then there's one more side.
Employment?
What was it?
Is it employment?
Yeah, close. I mean, it's the workforce services side. So you need to be working on the employment skills. Yeah. So, I mean, not necessarily employment, but you could also be working on employment skills or the employment skill abilities. So like their soft skill development and stuff like that. Yeah. So workforce services, workforce development, and education. So it's all 3 sides of that triangle in order for it to be an IET. So this IET model classes is one that we are able to, it's an Alaska initiative. And if you are in IET model classes or you're giving model classes, you have a student that's in a true IET. Amy is with us, so she should be using this one a lot. I think Linda has reported that she's doing some IET, so she should be using this one. And I think somebody else is using some IET. Anyways, we're going to want to hold this one open. And the projected begin date, end date would be corresponding with the classes or corresponding with that time frame that you're in IET. It does not have to close at the same time that the AE1. The AE1 will close before the AE4, and that's fine. It can close after the AE4, and that's fine. It will not hold open the AE1. The AE1 will close after 90 days of no attendance. And it is what it is. So it's not going to hold it open. That makes sense. However, you are going to need to go in and close it. And if you use it, you need to make sure that you're closing these ones. Any questions on what an IET one is?
So that one will not close automatically?
I believe it will. I believe the AE1 will automatically close it. Or if you're done with the IET and say you're still, teaching the student, you should go in there and close it just so that we know that that IET class is done. And that's AE4. And AE3 works the same way. AE3 is the IELCE model, and it's the only one, Amy is the only one on the call that uses that one, and it works the same way. It doesn't hold up the AE1, and they are in it until they're in it, and then they're done. So that's the difference between AE1, 2, 3, and 4. The only two that work together are AE1 and 2. Make sense?
It makes lots of sense why you're doing it.
But potentially AE4 and 1 could work together.
Yes, they work together, but they work separately. AE1 and 2 work together and they work together. Like AE2 will not let AE1 close, whereas AE4, they work parallel to each other. So AE1, it won't hold AE1 open like AE2 does. So that hold is the only one that will hold the case open. AE2 is the only one that will do that. The rest of them, if you've got AE1, 3, or 4 in there, it will go with the 90 days no matter what. It will soft exit no matter what. AE2 is the only one that will hold that case open. And you have to be careful with AE2. You have to make sure you close AE2. Any questions on any of those? Okay. All right, that was pretty, it was pretty painless. You got about 10 more minutes. I'm going to stop the sharing. I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll hang out for a few minutes in case you guys have any other questions for me.